It's almost September, so if you're thinking about selling your house in the spring market of 2026 or any time really in 2026, there's things you need to be doing now to get your house prepared to sell. We currently have over 13,000 active listings in the state of Utah. So buyers have more choice than ever and homes are sitting on the market longer. So preparing your house is crucial because there is no telling what the spring market will bring in 2026. So today I'm going to jump right into my list of things you need to start doing now and throughout the winter to prepare your house. Now, this list is in no particular order, but it is going to be a long list and hopefully things that you haven't considered or thought about. So the first thing I'm going to recommend is that you get a notebook and you start taking notes throughout your house of things that need to be done and some of the items that I'm covering on this list today. So the number one thing, make sure your front door is painted. You don't want to wait till the middle of winter to do it, but when you paint your front door, it just makes it look nicer. There's a lot of front doors that I go to that have like dings and scratches and they just look faded and it's just not welcoming to a buyer. And the front of your house is your first impression. So that brings me to number 2 on my list, which is that you want to make sure you do the yard work in your front yard and your backyard. So pull any of the dying plants, put new bark, rubberized bark, whatever you want in the planter beds, use some fertilizer if you have grass. Make the curb appeal look really nice in your front yard. If your grass is looking brown and dead already, that's where you would want to do some fertilizing. I see a lot of houses, not just in real estate, but actually this week I went to a house and that was the first thing I thought of walking up is like, oh wow, this yard does not look good. It looks trashy, honestly. It just looks trashy when stuff is dying and it's not putting your best foot forward. Make sure just before you list your house that you replace any of those seasonal bushes or plants. Make the flower beds look nice for the spring market, all of that kind of stuff. Now, if you haven't been able to tell already, this list is probably going to ruffle some feathers of people, and I'm prepared for those comments down in the comment section of people. But hey, it's my job to tell you things that you really need to do and not put any fluff on it. Number 3, if you have carpet in your house and it has the bumps in there because it's overly stretched and you need to tighten the carpet back up. When you haven't stretched your carpet and made it back to that flat and even nice look, it tends to signal to buyers that there's work that needs to be done in the house. And either most buyers think I have to replace the carpet, or it's extra expenses that they're looking at right when they move in. And in this market conditions here in Utah, a lot of buyers are looking for those move-in ready houses. So you can find people that will restretch your carpet for relatively inexpensive. So don't skip doing that. Number 4, update the lighting in your house. And what I mean by that, I was actually out with buyers about a week and a half ago, and the house was so dark, which I'll get to that later, but they didn't have any of the lights on when we walked in. All the blinds were closed, dark paint. It was literally dark in this house in the middle of the day. So we flipped on the light switch and we were looking up, and first of all, the lights were yellow. So replace your light bulbs with a bright white light and make sure that they match. So if you have recessed lighting, don't have one color and another one another color and then the 3 match one, don't do any of that. But also you want to get the lighting that in this particular situation with these clients, we flipped the light on and we all said, wow, that's it. That's all the light that comes out. Well, as we left the lights on for a few minutes, they started getting brighter and brighter and brighter, still yellow, but they were at least a little better than when we turned them on. So make sure you don't go cheap on your light bulbs when it comes time to listing your house, and don't buy the yellow colored lighting. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell so you're alerted each week that I drop a new video. It helps me understand that you appreciate the time and the content that I'm putting out. Number 5 on my list is start decluttering your house now. This is where that notebook's gonna come in handy, because you want to walk around your house and write down all the things that you know you need to get rid of or do to prep your home. So if you know that you need to make a run to the DI or Savers because your linen closet has stuff falling out of it, start putting that stuff on your list and start working on it. I always tell my clients that are selling, and they're thankful that I told them this, you have to pack this stuff or get rid of it anyways. Don't wait till you have a contract on your house or you're just about to list the house, because things are really crazy and they happen very quickly, and you're gonna be thankful that you started this process now. If you have stuff all over your countertops, things like that, you want to declutter, and a little bit of depersonalization of your house. And I would recommend that you walk through your house every couple weeks and do this process over and over again, because as you get stuff done, there's going to be more things that you're noticing and things that you want to do. So do it at least once a month, if not every couple of weeks. Now, number 6 on the list, since we just talked about decluttering, and this is going to go hand in hand, is you need to get rid of furniture that just does not work in your house or is run down. It doesn't look good. So with decluttering and number 6 of getting rid of furniture, you may need to look at getting a storage unit to store these things, because maybe you're thinking, well, Melissa, I am not getting rid of the couch that my cat scratched up on the side because I like it and it's comfortable, or this old worn out chair, I love it and I'm not getting rid of it. That's fine. Don't get rid of it, but put it in storage and get it out of your house before you list it. If you have a huge dining room table that does not work in the space, get rid of it. Another thing I notice a lot with people in their primary bedrooms are these huge wood bed frames that have the posts sticking up and huge dressers and things like that. They're beautiful, I get it, but it closes your bedroom in, and my clients are always looking for open spaces, and they don't want to walk into things and you're like shuffling through the room because the furniture is so big. I just had this happen last weekend on this big, beautiful house, but you walked in and the furniture, like this huge sectional and then this huge 10-person dining room table and then straight into the kitchen island. It just swallowed up that space. And it was a comment that my client made is, I thought that for the square footage, this house would feel so much bigger. So it's really important to look at the furniture that you have in your house and consider getting rid of it for the time being by putting it in storage. So the same thing is true when you walk into a house. You see it a lot here in Utah. People have entryway tables in their hallway at their front door. I've been in some houses where you open the door and it literally misses the table by this much. We love our entry tables, but if it's closing the space in and making you feel like you can't move freely in the house, then you need to consider putting it in storage for listing. Number 7 on my list, and this has always been a pet peeve of mine, make sure your door locks work, especially on your front door. If it gives you trouble and you've been like, oh yeah, I've needed to replace that for years because I can't get a key in it, or I don't have the key anymore, things like that. Replace it, get it fixed, because there's nothing more frustrating as an agent when you're sitting there playing with the door and I've sometimes had to call the agent because I'm shaking the door handle and turning and like doing all this crazy stuff just to get in the front door, and my clients see it. But it doesn't just stop at the front door. That goes throughout your house. If the doorknobs in your house are in bad condition, I had this recently with a buyer that's like, these doorknobs are really hard to open to the bedrooms or to this. And it's stuff that buyers do notice. So make sure you take care of the doorknobs throughout your house and the lock. Number 8 on the list, and I realize that this is not an easy undertaking, but the dark brown Venetian plaster, reds, browns, all of that, it's out. Make sure that your house is painted a nice neutral light color. So if you do have accent walls that are dark brown, plan on painting them this winter. You're going to be inside anyways, and get things lightened up in the house. It makes a huge difference for buyers seeing a light open area. Number 9 on my list is start cleaning. Look at things that you may have neglected or don't clean regularly. The plastic light switch cover plates, the garage door, when you go and push the button, it's probably pretty dirty if you're like most people. Wash those kinds of things. Wipe off handles on your kitchen hardware, your bathroom hardware, throughout your house. Make sure all the fingerprints and things like that are removed from it. And the same goes for like baseboards. Make sure that your baseboards are clean. Make sure ceilings, fans are dusted. And one thing I always notice in houses is the air vents or return grills. I see dust on those all the time. Go through your house and clean that stuff. Do a really solid, deep clean of all of those items before you list your home. Number 10, I would highly recommend you look at getting a home inspection this winter to see what major things could be flagged on your inspection report of a buyer. That way you have time to go ahead and take care of or anticipate some of the things that are going to come up on the inspection report. And some of the things may be very, very minor, but why wait for the inspector to have a list and then the buyer starts thinking in their head, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And what tends to happen is when it comes up in a buyer's inspection report, if they want a credit for doing those repairs, it's usually going to cost you more money that the buyer is going to ask for than if you had just taken care of it yourself. Now, there are things that we do here in Utah as agents, if it's something major like the HVAC system or anything like that. And I'm not going to get into detail about that on this video. That's not what that's about. But seriously consider doing a home inspection so you can address some of the big things that a home inspector flags. It can also give your buyers peace of mind when you go and list the property. If they see that you've had a home inspection, they can see what's been flagged on your house or what needs to be repaired. And best case scenario, your home is in great condition and there's nothing for the buyer to really see. It gives them reassurance. And the last thing on my list, and I have said this multiple times in multiple videos, but look at the flooring throughout your house. If you have 7 different types of floors throughout your house, and I realize flooring is not an easy fix and it's not inexpensive, but you need to evaluate that, because if you do have 7 different floors, and I see it often, you walk in, your entryway is one, the bedroom is another, the living room is a third different kind, the kitchen is a fourth different kind, then you walk in the bathroom and there's 5, and then you go upstairs and it just goes on and on. Literally, I have seen this. So a buyer is going to walk into your house and say, I have at least $10,000 in flooring. And honestly, it puts buyers off. I know of a house that sat on the market for well over 6 months, and I really do think that that was the problem because it was in a very desirable area. It was a newer house in a great school district and walking distance to fantastic schools, and everything else around it was selling very quickly. And I do think the amount of money a buyer would have to spend on flooring really deterred an offer coming on for the seller sooner. So if you are not going to do a replacement of your flooring, if you're in this situation, you need to price your house like that. So if your neighbor who has this perfect condition house, it looks like it was in the parade of homes and all these things, you're not going to get the same price because a buyer needs to do work right off the bat. Now, you may be saying to me,
Melissa, I've lived with my house. There's nothing wrong with my floors. They're not falling apart. They don't need to change the flooring. I've lived with it. They can.
Well, that's not how buyers think. So what I would recommend is go get a flooring quote on getting your house done. And then you can look at, do you want to do that? Most people don't. So you better price your house as if a buyer is going to have to pay that price. What did I miss on the list? Drop it in the comments below. Help out other people and tell them what are things that you look for when you go into a house, things you don't like, things that make it look cheap or unclassy, things that you notice right off the bat. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're looking at making a real estate move, I'd love to connect with you. Shoot me a text or give me a call. That is the best way to reach me. But as always, make it a great day.